Okay, everybody, this is my spoiler review of the new A24 horror film, Talk to Me. This is directed by the Filippo brothers, and it is, to me, by far the best horror film of this year, and I think it's better than any horrors from last year. I think this is the type of film I've been desperately waiting for since we haven't had an Ari Aster level of horror in a while, not even from Ari Aster. So this felt like an Ari Aster film in a lot of ways, but it also had its own voice in it. And what I loved about this film is that it has so many things set up in the beginning that get payoff by the end and callbacks. It goes from just the first scene here with Mia when she's with Riley and they hit this kangaroo. I love that by the end of the film, Mia is in that same position on the road where the kangaroo was. But about that kangaroo and her not being able to put it out of its misery sets up how she's not able to put Riley out of his misery. And she sees the kangaroo in the hallway, sees in a reflection when she's trying to make this choice. She just cannot do it. It's not in her DNA. So, what I think happened where they left ambiguous when she has Riley in the wheelchair and brings him down. Some people think Jade pushed her to save Riley into the street, but I think she knew the spirits were playing her, and that definitely is not really her mom's spirit telling her to kill Riley, and that she, to me, sacrificed herself to save Riley and jumped in the road. Whether it's sacrifice in the sense of just killing herself because she was going mad and didn't want to hurt Riley eventually with this, or that there was something they might explain in a future film where she actually gave her soul up and that, in a sense, freed Riley. That instead of putting a person out of its misery by killing it, you put a person out of its misery by sacrificing yourself. That is how I saw the ending, but that was left to be ambiguous. I thought it was brilliant how they wrapped it up that she was on the other side of the table in this spirit world with these spirits of the hand. I thought that's great. I love horrors that have a nice bow like that. You think of The Witch, you think of Midsommar. That's horror at its best, but it also hits with meaning and a character you really care about in Mia, and that is such props to the actress of Sophie Wilde. She was incredible, note for note, awesome, and just a scene acting wise that stood out to me really well with her, and also the actor of her dad was when the dad confessed what really happened with the mom. Again, I do think that was really the dad. I think that the mom that was telling her that she didn't kill herself was this swamp woman that was posing as the swamp spirit. That's the one who was sucking Daniel's feet, which was also a wild scene, and that is such an interesting concept they did with the spirits that made it stand out more. A lot of times in a lot of horrors recently, the spirits are nice, they're friendly. But these spirits were messed up and they were trying to manipulate her and make her do some pretty awful things. So I really liked how they went with that approach. I also loved in the horror aspect that they warmed it up, meaning those first couple sequences with the hand, it was like, okay, this is like this fun party vibe to it, but it wasn't that scary, it wasn't that intense, but it was purposeful because it made it hit so much more when you knew something bad was going to happen with the little brother. And when Riley does it, it is so brutal, that scene when he's hitting his head. I couldn't believe how far it went. It was so disturbing. And that continues on really every scene with Riley when he's in the hospital and hitting in the back of his head. And even when Mia gets the vision of where he's stuck in the spirit world with all these spirits, that was really disturbing imagery. So I really like that they had warmed it up and that it wasn't afraid to go there, but it was earned and it was emotionally intense to watch happening with Riley, a character they did develop time with in the beginning. And it worked on relationships too. They made it interesting, the relationships, your relationships with her, Daniel, and Jade in this kind of dramatic but not too dramatic love triangle, but also the relationship she had with Riley and looking out for him and protecting him. And I think it was very important, the scene where she was talking to Riley at the end of the night and how much she loved Riley. That's what makes me think she sacrificed herself for him. And I think that it was important, that scene, because she talks about she had a nightmare where she didn't see her reflection in the mirror, which we'll see in the final sequence when she is in this like purgatory going to the spirit world after she has died. And it makes you wonder if she had psychic abilities and that wasn't a nightmare, just like the original owner of the hand was a psychic. So I think that's really interesting. I love that they twisted it there too, where you knew the spirits were bad because they made her accidentally kill her real dad. it was always tricking you in a good way and not a cheaty way. And I thought the whole time I was really on the edge of my seat, and it still had really effective horror, but it was more disturbing horror than like scary horror. It's just disturbing, and it worked. And the only eye roll I had in the film, writing wise, was when we find out that the two who originally had the hand failed to mention everybody else that the guy who had the hand originally killed himself and stabbed his brother. They left that part out of the whole thing, and that someone could still be possessed after they play. So I wasn't crazy about that. And honestly, I don't even think you need to have that plot line or that character of the brother, because it was just like, okay, she talks to him on the bus for a second, but you could have left that maybe explained in a future sequel. So I didn't even think it was necessary to this story to even know that. I just think that was kind of silly. It really didn't add anything to necessary plot for the story we were watching and being mostly in Mia's shoes. So that's the only problem I had with it. But otherwise, I thought this was a great horror film. It's going to be tough to top this one. I think it's my favorite horror in the past 3 years. So I am very impressed that this is the Filippo brothers' debut as a directorial feature. So really, really well done. I'm going to give this film a solid 9. Let me know what you thought down below. I love to hear your thoughts. I read every comment. I try to respond as many as I can. Please make sure to subscribe. It helps me in so many ways. You have no idea. So if you could do that right now, that would be so awesome. It's so competitive out there, so I can appreciate all the support I can get. And I'll see you next time.